Welcome to Haunt Weekly.
Hello everyone, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this is Haunt Weekly, a weekly podcast from the haunted attraction and entertainment community. Whether you're an actor, owner, or just plain aficionado, we aim to be a podcast for you. And we return to you once again after a busy week of haunt news, which we'll be talking about in just a minute, to bring you up to date on all the latest haunted attraction stuff and also talk about this week's topic, age restrictions and haunts.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to get into this in a minute, but it's something we've been needling at for a long time, but one of our listeners pointed out we've not actually covered.
Yeah.
So that's what we're fixing this week. But please, please, please do take a moment if you have not done so already. Follow us at all the places we exist. We're hauntweekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Twitter, Haunt Weekly on Facebook, youtube.com/hauntweekly is the YouTube channel. And you can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, blah, blah, blah. Wherever you get your podcast from, that's where we are. So definitely take a minute, like, subscribe, share, do all the nice things there. Mm-hmm. Greatly appreciate that because realistically, we're dependent upon you to spread the word because God knows we ain't got the money for an ad campaign. All right. So every week we ask a question of the week.
We do. And
last one was a good one. I really do think this was a great one because we got some interesting, very thoughtful answers to it. And the question was, what does success look like to you? We meant that in the haunt context, but we got some great answers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Roberta McClellan, who said, having other haunters come through and give compliments.
That is definitely a very nice thing. And
yeah.
I absolutely imagine that being a good definition of success. Chris Gay said he basically described like this little U-shaped path in the middle of his haunt.
Yes,
where
it's a sweet spot.
A sweet spot, yeah, he used the word sweet spot, where he likes to sit and hear the screams, shrieks, and laughter from his haunt. And you know what? I think the last word in that is very important.
Yeah.
Because screams and shrieks are great. Don't get it wrong. But it's the laughter where you really get your jollies, where you've understood how happy you made people, and where you're kind of riding that communal high, if you will.
Yeah. And James Thurman said getting comments from others about how great it is.
That's not a bad one. Sam Farrell commented saying he loves hearing volunteers talk about how much fun they had. That is actually an interesting perspective, hearing your actors, hearing the people that work for it talk about how much fun they had.
Yeah.
And you know, we actually have that experience because usually after Halloween, we do kind of a hangout, retreat thing. And the whole idea is we're going to talk about the experience.
Yeah.
And yeah. I can definitely tell if it's been a good year by the vibrancy of that conversation.
Mm-hmm. All right. And finally, John Karras said we should expand our show time definition of success to include successes over the year, including the build.
Yeah, and this was interesting because what he pointed out was that, like, everyone else was talking about showtime, game time, feelings about when it was worthwhile. And his whole point was, hey, we should expand this year-round.
Yeah.
Did you figure out that difficult thing on Arduino?
Did you stay within your budget?
Yeah, oh good God. Well, okay, we got to be realistic here about shit that's actually happened in the history of haunting, Crystal. So you might want to roll that one back. That's a little ambitious. But no, it was very interesting because he was like, did that build work out the way you thought it would?
Yeah.
Like, I remember how we felt when we got the slamming door build work.
Right.
We were like over the moon for like about a week with that.
Yeah.
Just because it worked, getting that barn door and setting it up.
Mm-hmm.
We felt like goddamn geniuses, so we probably shouldn't have.
No.
In fact, I know
not.
Realistically, there's no way we should have felt like geniuses because that was hacked together with a meat cleaver, but it worked. And hopefully in 2022, we're going to get to show it off because we built that for the 2019 season that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, honestly, that's going to be very exciting to see how well that one works. But I remember when we finally got it to work consistently and it didn't like blow itself apart. We were so happy. So I understand exactly what he's saying. look for those little victories throughout the year, not just the Showtime victories, because he's right. It does make it difficult to keep up the spirit if you're only focused on those exact victories.
Right. And that brings us to this week's question. And
and this one's one relative to the topic, because it's what and when was your first haunted house? When and where did you first have your haunted attraction experience? I'm going to talk about mine more in depth in the episode, because it actually becomes very relevant in about like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Based on this time frame we're talking about here. But yeah, I want to know, when was yours? Crystal, when was yours?
For a professional, not like school haunt, it would have been in my 20s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the one we went together, the little JC haunt.
Oh, it was a Boy Scout haunt, yeah.
Boy Scout.
No, it's a Boy Scout, not JC's, but the same concept. No, you're not wrong.
But I am.
You're not wrong, but you're wrong. It's one of those things. I understand why you said that, because you're not that far off. It was about that level, and it was about that style. In fact, from a safety standpoint, it was definitely that style.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that we ran that whole season and no one was hurt still boggles my mind a little bit.
Yeah.
Just because that was really reckless shit they were doing there. So yeah, what and when was your first haunted house? Please let us know. Once again, hauntedweekly.com, Haunted Weekly on Twitter, Haunted Weekly on Facebook, and youtube.com/HauntedWeekly is the YouTube channel. Leave comments, like, subscribe. Let us know the answer to that, because we will be looking at all the answers we get through all the platforms. All right, it is an even numbered episode, and that means we do the conference reminders. So if so, Crystal, will you please kick us off?
All right. May 13th through the 15th, it is the West Coast Haunters Convention in Portland, Oregon. They will be at the Doubletree Hotel, Portland. The organization is a nonprofit that donates to professionals that work with autism. Has a haunt tour bus visiting Fear PDX in Portland, and 2 great-looking parties, a costume contest, and a foam dart war on the convention floor. HauntersConvention.com for more info.
After that, June 10th through the 12th in Rosemont, Illinois, is the Midwest Haunters Convention. There's a pre-convention, there's 2 haunt tours here. So there's a pre-convention haunt tour that visits Massacre, Basement Dead, Evil Intentions, and Disturbia. 3 of the 4 we can personally attest to are great. There's a Saturday night haunt tour featuring 13th Floor Haunted House. There's also a costume party on Saturday. MidwestHauntersConvention.com for more information.
Okay, June 24th through the 26th, it's Michigan Haunt Fest at the Oaks Campground in Munith, Michigan. Demos are free of charge. There are make and takes that you will take with you. Meals are not included. Saturday attendees are charged a $2 entrance fee into the campgrounds, because you will be camping at this. Children are free, includes campsite, decorating contest, and a family movie night.
MichiganHauntFest.weebly.com is the domain. Check it out. Then, July 8th through the 10th, it's Haunters Against Hate, the event in Lexington, Kentucky at the Clarion Center North, featuring drag shows, cosplay competitions, makeup contests, and many, many special guests, including what I am most interested in personally, 2 of the stars of the original Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
That is so interesting. We are tentatively hoping to be there. We've not booked travel. We've got a few other things we got to sort out, including some things with my job. But HAHTheevent.com for more information.
Okay. Texas Haunters Convention is going to be July 16th through the 17th in Mesquite, Texas at the Mesquite Convention Center. Featuring axe throwing, a costume ball, a costume contest, an escape room visit, game night, scavenger hunt, Rocky Horror Picture Show, to name just a few of the activities.
There's literally, okay, look, I updated this list today, and so I went to their site, TexasHaunterConvention.com.
Yes.
And there was so much shit they are now advertising. I don't know what to do with it as far as the conference reminder, so I just yeeted it all into the show notes and hope for the best.
Right, and they're finalizing their haunt tours now, so haunt tours are going to be part of this convention.
Yeah, there's haunt tour. There's so much stuff going on with this. This is going to be one very active show. TexasHauntersConvention.com. If you're anywhere near the Dallas area, I would really be checking this one out. And then after that, it's the Southeast Hollows Haunted Convention in Savannah, Georgia, July 29th through the 31st at the Savannah Convention Center. Will feature a magician doing demos on the show floor, a masquerade ball, a fashion show, and a makeup contest. Kind of the whole theme of this is integrating magic into haunting, which sounds kind of cool. So if you're interested, SEHHC.com, or so I prefer to pronounce it, sahek.com.
Right, July 29th through the 31st, it's Midsummer Scream. Eek! Featuring the Hall of Shadows and the Screaming Room Monster Kids panel featuring descendants of Lon Chaney, Boris Karloff, Bela Lugosi, and Vincent Price, moderated by Kirk Hammett.
And before you ask, yes, that Kirk Hammett. That's okay. Metallica.
MidsummerScream.org.
And it's in Pasadena, California, the Pasadena Convention Center. Yeah. I see why you skipped that. It's easy when you got like fucking Lon Chaney and Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi later in the show notes, because that is awesome. And we have seen the granddaughter of Vincent Price. We've seen her on a Mads event. Mm-hmm. And she is amazing and funny and witty and just a wonderful person to listen to, and loves talking about her grandfather. It's great. So definitely a very interesting thing. But personally, as a haunter, it's the Hall of Shadows that's really the selling point, because that's when all the haunted houses get together, build rooms or build sections, and create this big, long haunted house of all their work. It just sounds so much fun. Mm-hmm. So once again, midsummerscream.org. So much to love about that. Okay. Mm-hmm. Exhale deeply, because, now that's the end of the light stuff for a brief second. Because we need to have a quick word about the Myrtle Beach shooting. As most of you know, on Saturday, April 14th, an actor was shot and wounded at the Hollywood Wax Museum Haunted House. Now, the Hollywood Wax Museum Entertainment Center is this kind of big fun park thing, from what I understand, with multiple attractions in it, one of which is a haunted house, and it's a year-round haunted house. So it's a fairly large entertainment center in Myrtle Beach. And here's the thing, we're planning, and once again, all the summer plans are kind of up in the air, and I admit that sucks, because we'd really love to advertise that we're going to be at HAH and going to be where we're going to be, so we could get whoever wants to join us there. But right now, everything's up in the air for a variety of reasons that are personal to us. But we are tentatively planning to go to Myrtle Beach. And if we do, this will likely be part of our trip, just because we try to visit any year-round haunted house we can when we go somewhere.
Yeah.
We've done that multiple times. So yeah. We don't want to talk about this too much right now. Episode 336, coming up in 2 weeks, is a news episode. I've got a feeling we'll be dedicating significant time to that. Yeah,
there's a lot to discuss with this. The investigation is also still ongoing, so there's not a lot new to report.
Yeah, we're hoping that in 2 weeks' time we might have more answers.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically right now our thoughts are with the victim, hoping for a speedy recovery and hoping for swift justice to basically everyone who did anything wrong in this. And that's part of the problem right now. It's a complicated situation in terms of the shooting. I have my theories. I'll make them known in a couple of weeks, so please hang around. But yeah, long story short, too late. We don't want to talk about this too much. There's more facts scheduled to come in, or we hope will come in. And as a result, yeah, we're going to talk about this way, way more. Episode 336 coming up in about 2 weeks.
Yes.
So stay tuned.
Okay.
All right. So that brings us to the topic du jour. And we definitely have a lot to say about this. This original idea was pitched to us unwittingly by Sam Farrell a few weeks ago. We asked for the question of the week, what questions do you have for us? We did it every once in a while. And he asked us, what do you think about age restrictions for haunts? And he had a lot of good questions that surrounded that. So we thought we would actually tackle it and talk about it here. So yeah, and the reason I think it's a great topic for us is that it's one we've needled around for a long time.
Yeah, like in episode 265, we talked about content warnings.
Yeah, this was a lengthy episode about, excessive violence or graphic violence in haunted attractions and how we can, incorporate more of that if we want, ethically.
Right.
And so content warnings came up with that. We also have spent a lot of time talking about content issues broadly. But we also discussed multiple episodes now, the Haunted Puddle.
Yeah.
An 18-plus haunted house we visited not that long ago, a few years ago now. Mm-hmm. And the impression that left upon us. And so, yeah, we sort of like shot around this issue multiple times. Mm-hmm. The issue of should, could, would you have age restrictions on a haunted house? And so what we're going to do is we're going to try to break this down, talking about when you have to have it, and then sort of slide into when you should have it, and then why you shouldn't have it.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a gradient. So when should you have it? Crystal, lead us off.
All right. Basically, you should have it whenever you really need it.
Yeah.
So if your haunt features nudity or sex, that's when to put it in.
Yeah.
Because our society's weird.
Our society's stupid. It's not even weird.
Well, yeah. Because, graphic gore or violence is not an issue or seen as
big of
an issue as basic nudity.
I can literally, in my haunted attraction that I have right now in my garage, feature the entire internals of a human being from stem to stern. Graphic violence is being split open and all their guts being splayed in a gory display of violence.
Yeah.
And mothers will walk their 2-year-old children through it, not even batting an eyelash.
No.
But you show a pair of boobies, mm-hmm. and everyone loses their fucking mind.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I really don't get it. And that's just it. This is a don't shoot the messenger moment.
Right.
If you have nudity, if you have graphic sex, yeah. Unfortunately, our society does require an age gate around that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and also you may be running afoul of certain public indecency or nudity laws. Those tend to be super local.
Yeah.
Like when we were in Key West for an extended period of time, toplessness, men and women, generally not a thing.
No.
Yeah, I mean, not a thing criminally or even like civilly. Like you could just do it, and no one gave a shit. Mm-hmm. You do that in my birth state of South Carolina. Mm-hmm. That's a jail sentence for you. Yeah,
you flash along, in the French Quarter. During Mardi Gras, no problem. If you try to do that in family-friendly garden district, you're going to get popped.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous, it's inconsistent, it's unfair.
Yeah.
I will agree with all those words, but it's just the nature of the beast. So here's the thing. If content require an age gate on a website, you probably need one for your haunt.
Yeah.
Another time you definitely need an age gate, and this is one we've harped on a lot, is if you're requiring any kind of a waiver. Here's the thing. Waivers are useless. And if you guys want us to go into why waivers are totally useless, we will. There's a whole episode's worth of content. We've set our mind on this, like the short version before, but there's definitely 50 minutes of content here.
Yeah, and I know that we have at least one lawyer who's a fan of the show who would probably come on to help us to talk about this topic.
Yeah. Waivers are fucking useless anyway. Even under the best of circumstances. Even if the person is of age. Even if they're signing it sober as hell. Mm-hmm. Even if everything lines up where it should be an ironclad waiver, it's still useless. But here's the thing. They are triple useless if minors are signing them. Mm-hmm. So if you are going to require people to sign waivers, congratulations, you're an 18-plus haunt.
Yeah.
You didn't even know you did it, but you did.
Yeah, and that's because if you're under 18, you are not legally allowed to sign for yourself. And
basically, minors are allowed to disaffirm contracts, and adults are not.
Yeah.
So basically, if you have a minor, anyone like a day under 18, sign a contract, they can go to court, most likely, and disaffirm that contract, saying, hey, I didn't mean that. Other factors came to play, whatever. The contract's immediately invalid. And you're left in the exact same position you were if you had no contract or no agreement at all.
Yeah.
And this includes all kinds of law. I mean, this comes up in business law. This comes up in employment law.
Yeah, like this even applies to if you're having people, join a community online. You're not supposed to be able to have people be able to sign up for those if they're under 18.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people lie on those forms because they want to be on the social medias and things. But
yeah. So if you're requiring a waiver for whatever stupid reason this idea came into your head, you need either be an 18 plus haunt or to require a parent's signature. And here's the problem with that. I would say, honestly, I said 15 to 17-year-olds in the notes. I think I would actually go 13 to 17.
Yeah.
Good luck getting them to go back to mommy and daddy to sign a contract for them because they want to feel like big boys and girls. They want to feel like big people.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about how haunting is a coming-of-age story in a way.
And they don't want to have to go back to mommy and daddy to sign the contract for them.
Yeah. And finally, in this section, you need it if you're running an extreme haunt.
Any kind of hard touch.
Yeah. So if you're doing hard touch, 18 plus restriction, it's not legally necessary, but it's probably really wise. And also, if you're doing that, you need to be like triple covered on your security cameras.
And triple covered in terms of training and triple covered. Yeah, that's the thing we talk about extreme haunts. Like, they can be very interesting and they can do some neat things, but the amount of work required both legally and training-wise, it's a lot.
Yeah.
You're signing yourself up for a lot more than you may realize.
Yeah, because the biggest risk is attraction of accusations of assault and sexual assault.
And those are bad enough when you're dealing with clear adults. The minute it involves minors, the badness escalates very quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you also run into the same waiver issue where, they might have signed agreements online or in person or whatever.
Right.
But it's going to be damn near impossible, in many states especially, to hold them to those agreements.
Yeah.
So, guess what? You run an 18 plus haunt, you didn't realize it.
Yeah, and if somebody, thinks that they have been assaulted, they have not signed away anything if they signed a waiver.
The short version of this issue is you cannot sign away your right to not be assaulted. So to give an example, if Crystal and I sign a contract to have a boxing match, it's 10 rounds.
Yeah.
And in the 6th round, she's kicking my ass because that'd be the inevitable outcome. I say, I don't want to box anymore. I'm done. I'm leaving. And then she keeps punching me. That's assault.
Yeah.
Because I no longer consented to be assaulted. Consent is immediate.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. Is like, I can sign a contract saying I'm aware blah, blah, blah will happen. But the minute I disagree to it, the minute I say no, and if it isn't followed, it's still assault. Yeah. Whether sexual or physical assault.
Exactly.
And and that's one thing a lot of these extreme haunts don't realize is like your waivers do not protect you once people no longer consent.
Yeah.
It may protect you up to that point, but once they've indicated in any appreciable way that they don't consent, it's over. And unfortunately, I can say from experience, as a haunter, it's very difficult to get actors to always understand that. Because we've had cases in our haunt, not assault cases, but where people have surrendered. The word that we say is the end all. You will be escorted out. It's over. I hear surrender, and the actors are just in the zone.
Yeah.
And they keep trying to go, and you or me or someone else is like, no.
Yeah.
It's over.
That's only happened once.
Yeah. But I understand that tunnel vision.
Right.
And that can happen so easily.
Yeah.
And that's why those types of haunts are so risky. It's human nature and the legal system combined to make it very risky. Anyways, getting back to the age restriction thing.
Yes.
Our rules. Basically, none of the above things apply to us as a home haunt. We don't do anything with nudity or sex. In fact, as we'll get into a little bit later down, we're very careful to restrict our content that way. So our one rule with age is very simple. Everyone must either walk or be in a wheelchair/stroller.
Yeah.
And The reason is we had a this was many years ago. It was like 10 years, 10, 11, more than 10 years ago now probably.
Yeah.
But it was a very ugly incident where we had a mom drop her barely born child. I don't know how old, probably 1 or 2 years old. It was years old, but I mean, my mind, barely born.
Yeah, it was too young realistically to be coming through.
Yeah. Drop her. I mean, basically the first scare hit right in that first room. Mom freaked out, ah! And just opened her arms, and the kid, I mean, you have not heard an ugly sound like an infant, I don't know what you would call a toddler?
Yeah, toddler.
Toddler, splatting on the pavement like a bag of wet cement.
Yeah,
it's an ugly, horrible sound, and I remember, because I was outside, it happened, and I heard the pah! And the whole haunt went quiet. Like, it went eerily quiet because everyone who was nearby saw what happened. Mm-hmm. And I went in, and luckily, I mean, I don't know what toddlers are made of. Flubber. I mean, fucking unicorn magic. I don't fucking know. Man, toddlers are fucking invincible, apparently. Mm-hmm. But he was fine. He wasn't even hurt. But damn, that splat. Mm-hmm. I will never not hear that. That still haunts my dreams today. It was a god-awful sound. Yeah. So
that's the only rule we have, and that's why we have it. And I think that we should actually talk about why we have that rule for the customers, like customer-facing.
Yeah, we need to find a way to present that more carefully I agree with that, and more elegantly to the customers, because that was such a horrible moment. That's easily one of my top 2 or 3 worst moments as a haunter.
Yeah.
I can think of a couple that might compete or might be in the same range. Mm-hmm. But that was just so god-awful and stomach-turning. It was Halloween night. We had a line, and I was just so glad when that kid was okay. I have not felt relief like that in a long, long, long time. But yeah, basically that was the moment. Everybody that's in the haunt either has to be walking on their own power, mm-hmm. or in a wheelchair/stroller. And we make sure our haunt is wheelchair/stroller accessible.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, so basically, yeah, we have all this violent imagery in the haunt. Like, we've had whole rooms, nothing but severed limbs.
Yeah, or body bags.
Body bags and fake flayed torsos and things. Obviously not real flayed torsos. That would be very impressive, I have to admit, but no. But, I mean, we've had all this stuff, but because of our social mores in this country, we avoid running into this issue because we don't have, like, foul language.
No.
Our actors are always told not to swear. Mm-hmm. Basically, they're Danhausen.
Yeah.
They're very evil.
You can curse, but not swear.
You can curse, but you cannot swear. And then anyone who gets what the Danhausen joke, what we're talking about Danhausen, please let us know at hauntweekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Twitter, and Haunt Weekly on Facebook, because we need more Danhausen friends. Uh-huh. Very much badly. So yeah, basically they can curse, but they can't swear. We also don't do anything with sexual content or truly adult themes or anything like that.
No.
We avoid those issues very, very carefully. And, I mean, the adult themes we do cover are, and adult themes, I'm using these in hyper air quotes here, are things from New Orleans history, like, evil landlords.
Well, it's also, like, there are some areas of the country where kids do not know about the existence of bars and alcohol.
That is not New Orleans.
That is not New Orleans culture. We saw 2 babies at the bar today, and
she's not exaggerating.
No, and like 12 kids having a birthday party at a different
and throwing bar. Fucking darts in the patio of a different bar. Yeah, there were more they're playing darts, but there were more kids than adults in the area we were in at the bar, and this was a bar.
Yeah.
It was a brewing company. We were actually at a brewery. So, yeah, that New Orleans culture doesn't give a flying fuck about exposing kids to alcohol.
Yeah.
Yours might feel differently.
Yeah.
Yours probably does, actually.
Yeah, but I mean, we did have the discussion, is it okay to have a bar as our first room for the haunt that we're
And I remember the first time we had that discussion, we went back and forth for a bit, both of us taking either side, just kind of playing devil's advocate to each other. Mm-hmm. And then we went to the bar to go have a drink on it, and there were kids in the bar, and we just kind of looked at her and went, that kind of solved it, you know?
Yeah.
Because I remember this. So we went to Crown that night and was like, yeah, this is, yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is a non-issue.
So that's what we've done.
Yeah.
But what should you do?
Oh, that's a tough question, and I hate it.
Yeah.
We should not do the rest of this podcast now.
Well, it really depends on the person and
the haunt. Yeah, it really, really does. Here's the thing. I went through it. There are 5 basic reasons you may want or be tempted to install an age restriction on your haunt.
Mm-hmm.
The first is content. We discussed that. If your content is so against social mores or whatever that you need an age restriction, you need an age restriction. I can't help you any further than that.
Yeah.
You need it. But the second gets more complicated.
Right.
And that is dealing with problem customers. And here's the thing. Kids, especially those in the single digits, are often very difficult customers, and they're not as valuable. It may simply not be worth allowing them, and I get that.
Yeah.
Kids run around. They get into things. They don't listen to instructions. They don't do what they're supposed to do. They never are where they're supposed to be. That's kind of the nature of being a kid. If you were a kid, and you were a kid, but when you were a kid, if you were not that type of kid, you kind of missed out on some shit.
Yeah, I got grounded so much for not being where I was supposed to be. That was like my biggest thing.
Kids are not going to follow instructions. No amount of signage, no amount of staff there to try to corral them may fix it. Even
last year with our little yard display out front, there was a 3-year-old, adorable little girl, kept wanting to go up and like she would high-five the skeletons, but she basically let herself underneath the barriers that we had up.
And we had some pretty hefty barriers, I thought.
She's just like, I'm going to go in here now.
Yeah, we created light fences.
Yeah, the parents weren't, like, watching her.
And I get that feeling. And we're going to go into, why that may not be enough a little bit later. But yeah, okay, that's a reason you may be tempted.
Yeah.
Because kids are basically shit, okay? What do you want? Kids are basically terrible people, but smaller. And you can discriminate against them because of age. It's legal, okay? They're basically shitty people.
All right.
But yeah, basically kids, especially in the single digits, are a problem. The next up is
insurance or legal reasons.
Yeah.
So if your insurance plan requires that you have to restrict kids.
Or you saying it will only cover like 13 and up or whatever.
Right.
Or even 18 and up. I can't imagine that. But if it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, you always have the option of finding a different insurance company. But in the haunted attraction industry, that's not that simple.
No.
It may not be possible, and it may not be worth it.
Right. And I don't know if any, actually have that.
No.
Have a restriction in it. If yours does, let us know. We would love
Well, and
to
I'm not thinking about the major haunted house insurance companies, the ones people know. A lot of haunts go with the local podunk, Joe Bob, Billy Bob insurance company. And that happens a lot with haunts, is they end up going whatever local provider will give them a second look. And the shit that they say in those contracts can be so random. I mean, I have not seen an age range specifically, but we've heard tales of people saying they had to fireproof corn.
Yeah. Well, that was a fire marshal thing, not a...
And it was an insurance thing, too. It was actually both. But we've seen some crazy shit here. And so I don't know. I don't put anything past insurance brokers, is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
So it's entirely possible it may come. But also there may be local laws that restrict who can go through. Especially if there are juvenile curfew laws.
Yeah.
Some areas, for reasons that are their own, have passed laws that said no one under the age of 16 can be out past 9 p.m.
Yeah. And this has come up a couple of times, even during the pandemic.
Yeah.
There's been a curfew for teenagers in New Orleans.
Yeah. And New Orleans is not known as that restrictive of a city.
No.
Don't know if you've heard of us.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've seen that. So, like, if 16-year-olds aren't allowed past 9 p.m. and you open at 9 or you open even at 7 or 8, but you're going to be open well past that, it could be an issue for you.
Yeah.
And it might not be the same for all nights of the week. Some curfews are Monday through Thursday, and they might not apply to Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
Or it might be Sunday through Thursday, I should say. You know, they might not apply on non-school nights. So you might need to incorporate that into your marketing because you don't want to be known as a place of quote-unquote juvenile delinquency.
Yeah. And also you've got to keep that in mind if you're hiring 17-year-olds.
Oh, yeah, that's very true.
Because...
usually those curfews have an exemption for teens going to and from work, but not always.
Yeah.
It's not
so check your local laws.
Check your local listings for more information, basically, and understand what your local laws are. You may have to restrict your haunt both in terms of customers and actors based upon this. And I wish, and one weird thing to note is many towns that don't normally have such curfews will have them at Halloween.
Right.
They will pass a special, super secret, enforced curfew at Halloween because Halloween is the troublemaker night.
Yeah.
And they want to just be able to arrest anyone that looks younger than me.
Yeah. And there's a long history there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying their concern is misplaced, but maybe their enforcement is.
So I think that it's a holdover from a long time ago that is misplaced in today's.
Yeah, it's no longer Devil's Night.
No. Anyway,
we're going to move
continue
on. The next up is number 4, health and safety issues. Height and safety issues. Sorry, I'm misreading my own notes. But yeah, basically, if you have things like claustrophobia tunnels, slides, steep inclines, anything that may be physically challenged for differently abled people, this might be something to consider.
Yeah.
Because basically, you might be able to resolve this better with a height restriction, though at the same time, people that are short but of age may get mad.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, here's what we do. We take a child's eye view, basically. When we're setting up a room, so you have to keep this in your design, get down at child level, and look around. What do you see? Can you see the scares?
Is it still it still good? Is it still safe? Is it still
exactly
everything? And yeah, we actually will sometimes literally crab crawl through the haunt to kind of get that as close as we can to that level while remaining ambulatory and see what a child or someone that is significantly shorter than us would see.
Yeah.
And usually we're not very displeased because usually we've done a pretty good job at a 360 build so that it works out fine. But yeah, you will learn things about your haunt.
Yes, but I know for a fact that in our bathroom scene this season, there will be a kid who goes over ahead of the group and looks under the stall. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, I refuse to understand children who look under bathroom stalls, but yeah, you're not wrong.
I'm not.
You're not wrong. You're just wrong.
I'm not wrong. They're wrong for doing it.
Yeah, well, yeah, fair enough. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I think this is an issue that's mitigated better with haunt build and haunt construction. But yeah, this could be a reason to consider it because, you don't want people that are below a certain height, below a certain weight, and are unable to go through your haunt safely.
Yeah.
And then there's the kind of sort of big one, marketing. Here's the thing. An age gate, whether it's 18 plus, 16 plus, or 13 plus, can be a unique selling point for a haunt. This ain't the kiddie haunt. But here's the thing, it comes at a significant cost. And that is you're going to drastically reduce your potential market for your haunt.
Yeah.
So you have to justify this decision from a business direction here. Basically, why is your haunt that way? What do you do that is so different, so radical, so offensive, so shocking, so whatever, that you have to have this age gate? And basically, I'd only even consider this if you know for a fact that you're not eliminating a large portion of your audience.
Yeah. Now, here's a way around that. you can have a suggested age.
Mm-hmm.
You can have, that's kind of what we do. Our haunt is suggested for 13 and up. But if you're younger, we're going to let you through.
Yeah, and if you're able to walk.
If you're able to walk or be pushed through.
Yeah, we'll let you through as long as everyone's consenting. If a kid's crying, we're not...
No.
Kids crying, we don't do that shit, man.
Nope. They can wait outside.
I have learned how to disarm that, and it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
When the kids cry, I don't want to go in. I look at them and go, it's okay. You don't have to. We're not going to make you.
Yeah.
And then the mom... Fine, I'll hand him over to whoever's with me to kind of be the babysitter and the rest of the group in.
Yeah, exactly.
It's such a good disarm.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to make you. If anyone's making you, it's that cunt.
Yeah, basically.
Because it's always the mom. It's never the dad. I don't know why that is.
I've seen a couple of dads.
Okay, a few, but usually, almost always it's the mom. It's... disproportionately the moms that do that. Yeah. And I think it's just moms have gotten bitter after raising these little shit sacks for a handful of years.
So tell us how you really feel about kids.
Oh, I wouldn't run a haunted house if I didn't feel this way about kids.
No.
But anyways, yeah, where we go. So here's a real question. Is it ever really worth it? I would say personally an 18 plus age gate, probably not.
No.
The Haunted Puddle, the one we went to that was 18 plus when we went, they still had family-friendly hours. I could see that where you do a divide. These 2 hours are even earlier in the day. You've got family-friendly general hours. And then later in the evening, you've got the adult ones and you break out whatever it is you're going to break out that's going to make it that way.
Or even a special night during the week where you wouldn't normally be open or, it's just your slow night.
Yeah.
If you know it's traditionally your slow night, hey, you could do this as your warm-up night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, but the problem is that far, far, far too much of the haunted attraction audience are teenagers.
Yeah.
The 13 to 17 crowd is very core to the business. And very core to home haunts, too. I mean, it's not just a business thing. Home haunts hit this, too. I would say of our audience, at least 2/3 to 3/4 is between that range. Is between 12, I would say 12 and 17, definitely.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And adults only haunt also carries connotations that you may not want and may not apply to you.
Right. And if you're in a more conservative type area, you may get a lot of pushback from your neighbors.
Yeah.
If you're going to try to do
because people are going to assume that you're the porn haunt.
Yeah.
Even if that's not the reason.
Yeah, if you say adults only.
Adults only, no kids allowed. People can think you're the swinger/porn haunt. Yeah. Even if that's not the case, even if whatever your reason is completely separate from that, it's going to be a tough sell. So yeah, there's basically, the basic problem is there are reasons you don't see many 18 plus haunts, and the very few that are extreme haunts. Whether they're doing hard touch or whether they're doing isolation or whatever, there are these extreme haunts that are doing something that honestly most haunters consider to be outside the bounds of a haunted attraction.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that they fit into a different category. They're almost haunted art experiences.
Or something else. I don't know. We got to come up with another term for that. We're going to workshop that.
Yeah.
But anyways. Now, that said, I think a 13-plus age gate might actually make sense in some cases.
Yeah.
But here's the question to ask yourself. What percentage of your customers are 12 or under? And specifically, how many groups have someone 12 or under with them? Here's the thing to think about. If you set an age gap at 13, and mom and dad show up with a 16-year-old and a 12-year-old, you've lost 4 tickets.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to go through because you won't let little Jimmy through because of his age.
Well, and that's another thing to consider is it an age gate unless parents are with them?
Yeah. Good point. Yeah, so if it's a hard 12 or up, that's a problem. That could be a problem. And here's the thing. You have to ask yourself, are younger visitors a problem? And if they are a problem, what other things can you do to mitigate those problems? Mm-hmm. Can you relocate alcohol sales or anything like that elsewhere?
Yeah. Are they not supposed to see that?
Yeah.
Like, I know that in New Orleans, it's really weird. Because you can have alcohol in front of kids all you want. But a gambling machine? No way.
Video poker?
Yeah, I know.
My vapors.
Yeah, exactly. So, so what they'll do is if there's an event where they know a kid will be coming, is they'll pull out sheets and cover up the video
they'll use
poker
literal
machines.
blankets. She's not even like exaggerating this.
No.
Like literal fucking Walmart sheets to cover the video poker.
Yeah.
They'll unplug them and cover them up.
No, there's nothing under there. Don't look under the...
Please ignore the man behind the curtain.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's literally that.
Yeah.
It's so weird, and I don't get New Orleans sometimes.
Yeah, and I know that some places are like that with alcohol. You know, you don't want kids seeing alcohol.
Yeah. Can you create better cattle gates or a better queue line to avoid line cutting? Because line cutting is one of the most common complaints I hear about younger patrons.
Right, because people show up, they didn't realize their friends were going to be there the same night. They go, hi! And then they
jump the queue and everyone gets pissed and fights break out. And then as we had last year, shootings break out and things get really ugly.
Yeah.
Can you have a specific attraction or area for kids?
Yeah.
This was something that Scout Island did here, where they had an attraction and a place for kids, but they also had attractions that were not targeted at kids.
Right, and this is something that the Houston area haunts did really well.
Yeah.
As they had...
One of the few.
Yeah. Well, they had places for kids to hang out. Like, intentionally, this is where the kids are going to hang out while they're waiting for their friends or they're waiting to go into haunts.
Yeah.
Things like that.
And is there anything you can change with the construction or the haunt design to make it more accessible to younger people?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if the problems outweigh the revenue and other mitigations won't work, then maybe a 13-plus haunt actually makes sense. Mm-hmm. And this is especially true since, and this is admittedly theory, this is me pulling upon my Ogilvy and my advertising history and my marketing background here, but here's the truth. Teens love doing shit that's meant for older kids.
Yeah.
Interesting fact, I learned this when I was in marketing class, and it appears to have still held true right up to the magazine's closure. 17 magazine, the magazine where the age of the desired reader is in the fucking name.
Yeah.
The actual median age was like 26, but we're not getting into that. Mm-hmm. If you were, the most common age was 12 to 16.
Yeah.
Basically, when people turned 17, they largely stopped reading 17 until they became an adult and needed to become, up with like kids, what kids were doing. Mm-hmm. But like the actual kids, the desired market reading it was 12 to 16.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's the thing. Like when people hear a 13-year-old age gate, oh, I can't go until I'm 13. Oh, you're telling me I'm too young to go? Mm-hmm. Well, fuck you. The day I turn 13, I'm going to be right in this line.
Yeah, exactly.
That works. It really, really does, because that's something that as a nearly a 42-year-old man, I hate this version of me way back when that was so eager to be older.
Yeah.
He was a dipshit and deserves to be powerbombed through the nearest stack of tables that's available.
That's because kids can't grok it. There's no way for them to grok
they have no
what
context.
Being older actually is.
Yeah, that's true. And it's not really his fault, but he still deserves to be powerbombed through horrible things. But yeah, basically, those kids do not understand what it means to be older. They want to be older, so giving them an age hurdle to go over. It's like how kids can't wait to turn 16 and get a driver's license. They can't wait to turn 18 and be able to buy cigarettes, even if they don't fucking smoke.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't smoke. I've never smoked a day in my life. But yet, I remember turning 18 and thinking, I get to vote. I get to buy cigarettes. I can sign a contract.
Voting was a much bigger deal for me.
I can do all these things. Kids can't wait to pass those milestones. Mm-hmm. So having a milestone as part of your haunt could be a good thing.
Yeah.
Just saying. So yeah, kids are always wanting to be older than they are. But there are a few things to think about before age limits are passed at your haunt. Mm-hmm. The first is, how the hell are you going to enforce this?
Yeah.
Are you going to do ID checks at the ticket booth? Not every teenager has an ID, especially if it's a state where, they don't have, they don't just like manually issue IDs to teens, because I had my first ID when I got my driver's license.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's so much true today. I don't know what the young kids of today are doing.
Yeah.
But they might not have IDs. Are you going to ask for age verification on the website to buy the tickets online?
Mm-hmm. Are you just going to look at them and guess? Because I have looked the same for a really long time.
Yeah.
I looked older really young.
Yeah, you look to be about mid-20s when you were 14.
Yeah.
And you look to be about mid-20s in your 30s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just now starting to look
You just
older.
now added the little streaks of silver, which is the only thing that changed. Like, everything else is still the same. Which I'm actually kind of glad you're looking your age, because I used to feel kind of creepy going out.
Anyway.
Anyhow.
So that's not a good way to tell.
Yeah, basically. So how are you going to enforce this, really?
Mm-hmm.
What will you do when underage visitors do show up? And they will show up.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do? What's the plan? Are you going to give them a different attraction? Is there going to be a carnival or something they can go to?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you just going to, mail them back home? What's the plan here?
Yeah.
Like, we had that haunt in 2020. They had the issue of parents just literally yeeting their kids so they could go home and probably have sex.
Well, and that's what a lot of people did. Because we saw this at New Orleans Nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Like, large groups of kids without any adults around.
Yeah. Haunts are turned into, I don't want to say de facto babysitters, but I can't think of a better way to say it.
Yeah. After hours program? That doesn't feel right either.
An after school program for kids. That doesn't sound right either.
No.
But basically, yeah, what are you going to do when they do show up? How are you going to handle that?
Mm-hmm.
Will you be refunding tickets for underage visitors? They show up with the tickets they bought on your site, or even tickets they got at the ticket booth that they now can't spend because they're underage?
Mm-hmm.
What's the answer here? How do you clearly communicate this limitation? I mean, obviously the answer is put it everywhere. Have clear signage everywhere on your physical property and clear verbiage on your virtual. But even then, I mean, someone's not... I am amazed at as someone who compulsively reads things, I am amazed at human beings' ability to not read things shoved in their face. Mm-hmm. It never ceases to amaze me how you can put something literally fucking everywhere, and people's eyes will just dart around it like they're doing the Macarena to avoid it.
Well, that's because you read everything.
Yeah. It's amazing to me how they do that. I read everything. I can't help it. It's part of my anxiety. But other people don't have that and are fucking wizards at ignoring shit. Mm-hmm. And also, what reasons will you give your customers?
Yeah.
Well, how are you going to justify this? Because you need to. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to, because their only customers will be unhappy because either they can't go in, or they can't bring their son or daughter in, or in some cases they can't bring their brother and sister in, or girlfriend or boyfriend in, whatever. So yeah, you're always going to have people that want to bring someone on the other side of the age divide. They can't come in. What's your justification? Personally, rather than age restrictions, I would like to see other limitations first. If it's a safety limitation, try a height or a physical limitation, like walking through the haunt or wheelchair through the haunt is our physical limitation.
Yeah. Even
if it's a super simple one, and one that's still easily accessible to anyone, because you always have that wheelchair option. So that way the restrictions are better targeted. You got problem customers, ban those customers.
Yeah.
Kids aren't profitable, make them profitable. Find shit for them to do.
Yeah.
Like Scout Island had that whole... Scout Island's not exactly the pinnacle of this, because we wandered under their kids' attraction, unsure what it was.
Yeah, but it was still fun.
It was still fun, and it was definitely aimed at kids, but still, if kids aren't profitable, find ways to make them profitable. To me, a age restriction is a last-ditch effort. Mm-hmm. We've tried everything else. We've done all we can. Nothing else worked. This is all we're left with.
I think it'd be interesting to kind of flip the script on the glow-in-the-dark things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you have a kid that needs to come through and they're obviously young,
Yeah.
sell them one of those or give them one of those and let your actors know that those are the people not to target. Like the reverse of the buying it to be targeted.
And even if you didn't want to, like, make them glow alone, you could even sell, like, different colors. You could give them the red.
Exactly.
Red means stop. Don't fuck with them, right?
Right.
Green means haha fuck with them. Right? Give everyone else the green. You could definitely make that work. That's not a bad idea. But basically, you know, if it's completely necessary and still a good business decision, I'm cool with it. But those situations are rare, and as far as I've seen, I've worked hard to try to find justifications for this, and it's not easy. Just because there are so few reasons that a haunt that is not doing a horrible job would have this issue. But hey, I can understand and acknowledge that there are haunts that might have this issue, and if that's you, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's all we have this week. Well, on that note, everyone, thank you very much for joining us. We greatly appreciate your time and attention for the past 50-ish minutes or so. Please do take a minute. Follow us at hauntweekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Twitter, Haunt Weekly on Facebook, youtube.com/hauntweekly is the YouTube channel. Please subscribe, like, do all the things there, and do all the things on our social media too. Also, every Wednesday on facebook.com/hauntweekly, we post the question of the week as a separate conversation. And that always seems to get a lot of great conversation going, a lot of great topic, a lot of great dialogue. So please, check it out there. But until next time, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And we will see you all next week with another topic. I have no idea what it is. We haven't talked about it. But we will see you all then.